Hear the whispers from within, balance to restore, ailings to relieve. Feel the nature keeping us, nature healing us, flowers, leaves, and roots within. Hear the mind calming you, soothing you, love and kindness inside out. Let the herbs from middle world heal. Welcome wellness, welcome wellness. It's revealed herbs, middle world herbs.
Hello and welcome to the Middle World Herbs Natural Wellbeing Show, where we talk about maintaining and restoring your health in safe and natural ways while incorporating both the physical and the emotional side of healing. We go live once a week on Fridays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and each week we talk about a different aspect of health. Today, we're going to focus on inflammation, and we're going to talk about the causes, the symptoms, and the dangers of chronic inflammation. We'll also discuss some amazing ways of managing inflammation naturally. My name is Deanne. I will be your host today, and I'm joined with our special guest, Dr. Jacquie N.D, who is a naturopathic medical doctor, board-certified holistic nutritionist, and psychology enthusiast. So Dr. Jacquie, welcome as always, and excited to have you here and talk about inflammation. So would you mind just briefly introducing yourself and tell us a little more about your path towards naturopathic medicine?
Yes, I would love to. Of course. Thank you so much. I'm so excited, per usual. I feel every topic is so fascinating, which is probably why I went into doing what I do. But yes, inflammation related to naturopathic medicine, my passion. I feel like inflammation is kind of the root of all evil. If I had to choose a common thread to most diseases or most tissue breakdown or damage. And so I think just having a long-term history of inflammation without knowing that I was inflamed based on the diet I was raised on, the high stress levels in my life, and then, really learning that connection, watching it help other people. I think I was 19 or 20 years old working in a health clinic, and all we were doing, and I wasn't doing it, being the office manager or assistant, but just kind of being able to observe that all of the acupuncturists and herbalists really focused on let's lower inflammation, and lower triggers of inflammation, right? Diet stuff, stress, lifestyle, and just seeing such profound changes really inspired me to want to continue on in naturopathy. So inflammation, believe it or not, watching other people suffer and heal from it really was a huge thing for me, because it is, again, at the root of a lot of suffering. I mean, we talk about joints, right? We talk about GI stuff. We talk about detox and cognition. And at the base of all of that, a lot of that is the inflammatory process breaking stuff down. So I think that's pretty powerful. And I would, just love being a part of helping people prevent it, in the naturopathic and nutrition community. So I'm excited to talk about it today.
I'm excited to learn about this topic for sure. So before we get started, I have 4 supplements in front of me. We'll go through all of them, but I just want to introduce you to them. So we have our immune support. This one has quercetin, and I was like, I can do it. Quercetin, and bromelain. Then we have berberine HCl. That's this one. And then we also have berberine with the Forte. So this is berberine HCl Forte. We have the one with bitter melon and banana leaf. And then I have our uric acid detox as well. And this one has tart cherry and pomegranate. Those are words I can pronounce. So before we get started any further, make sure you hit that follow button. We would love to stay connected. And we want to thank everyone who's followed us so far. That really means a lot to us. So Dr. Jacquie, let's get into some questions. Are toxins and free radicals the same thing?
They are often confused as the same thing, but it's really about one causing the other. So I guess you could kind of consider them the same because they're part of the same breakdown or pathway, but technically they're not the same thing. So toxins, things like pesticides or pollutants, cigarette smoke, alcohol, these types of toxins will cause free radicals, which are cells that are unstable, or molecules that are unstable, And these unstable molecules can actually damage our cells, which again adds to inflammation and all that stuff that I mentioned a little bit ago. So they're not exactly the same, but toxins lead to free radicals. That's really their relationship if I were to kind of boil it down to its basic cause and effect.
Okay, so do radicals then, they're coming from toxins? Is that basically the source of free radicals?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it.
All right. Sounds good. Well, and I want to let everyone know who's watching, and hello to Jeff. If you guys have a question, throw it in the chat so we can answer questions live here on the show. All right. So Dr. Jacquie, here's another question for you. How do our bodies deal with free radicals, and what does our immune system and antioxidants have to do with it all?
Okay. So free radicals happen anyway with metabolism. All metabolism is, like on a cellular level, at least, we think of metabolism, we think of weight. Slow metabolism, lots of weight, high metabolism, low weight. But what metabolism actually is the utilization of energy. How does our body use fuel? And do we use it efficiently? So we're constantly building stuff up, like wound healing, trying to keep up with damage, and we're breaking stuff down, like pathogens, bacteria, our own damaged cells. And that's metabolism, the breakup and buildup of things that are always happening. And so we naturally make free radicals, which are kind of these molecules that are a little unstable. In that process of building stuff up and breaking it down, free radicals just happen. And so free radicals are molecules that aren't complete. They have a missing electron. So they're a little upset that they have this missing electron, and they go around and cause damage to otherwise healthy cells. They damage the DNA, which is the blueprint to tell the cell how to work. So if your cells don't know how to work right, or there's something preventing that blueprint from translating right, I mean, that's a problem. And so our body naturally makes what are called antioxidants to help neutralize the free radicals. Remember, those unbalanced molecules causing damage everywhere. Right, so antioxidants have a lot of extra electrons, and they're like, happy to share. So antioxidants go around and just, hand out their extra electrons to these free radicals, neutralizing the free radicals, and then the antioxidant and the free radical, both neutral, both can leave the body without causing damage. And so free radicals kind of come from natural things that are happening anyway, and our body creates antioxidants to address it. Now, the problem with free radicals in our lifestyles is, bad food, herbicides, pesticides, chemicals, pollutants, going out in the sun too much, right? We sunbathe, smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, high processed sugar things, all of that's adding to the free radical process. And our body doesn't really make enough antioxidants to address both its biological needs, because it's making them anyway from metabolism, but also all the added ones that we're just throwing into the body because of the way that we live. So what we need to do to address all the extra ones we're adding is, if we are in fact doing that, is antioxidants rich, foods, drinks, supplements, things like that. And so, or just limit the intake of the stuff causing free radicals. That would be ideal, to lower the bad stuff, increase the good stuff, neutralize those free radicals, and now there's no more damage. When that damage happens, it starts to break down the immune system too, because the immune system is what does inflammation. So when stuff breaks down, it causes inflammation. Inflammation weakens the immune system, weakens tissues, and it's just kind of a downward slope from there. So that's kind of the connection through radical antioxidant, how we address it, and the immune system and how it can affect it. It just makes us work so much harder than we have to. Those systems that are really delicate, like the immune system, it wants to maintain such a perfect balance. So anything that throws it off, and it's gonna, not work as well. And free radicals do that. So.
Okay, yeah. So then what happens when our body just can't keep up with that toxic load? Like, we're just breaking down our immune system, basically?
Yeah. And so that's definitely part of the process. When the immune system breaks down, or when we have high levels of inflammation, disease happens. All these damaged cells are trying to work, but it's like you trying to run a marathon on a broken leg. How efficient are you going to be? Are you going to finish the marathon, right? Are you going to do the job you're intended to do, or will you fail, right?
Yeah.
So our bodies, essentially, those are cells. They run marathons for us every day, i.e., they filter stuff, they make stuff, they take stuff away, whatever the cell's job is, because every cell is different, right? That's its marathon every day. And free radicals break a limb off, or deprive it of water, or do something that's going to inhibit how efficient or how well that cell can run its marathon every day, if that makes sense. And so then disease happens. We need our cells to run their marathons, because if they're not crossing the finish line, then, our body breaks down. Disease happens, arthritis in joints, weight gain, diabetes, heart stuff, cardiovascular stuff, just cognition, brain fog, lethargy, mood stuff, sleep stuff. It really is at the root of a lot of issues is inflammation.
All right. Yes. So I have with me the immune support. This is going to be the first one we talk about. It has quercetin. Quercetin. Oh my gosh. Why can't I say it? Was I close the second time? Quercetin. You know what I need? I need like it in my ear. I need you guys to like whisper it in my ear. Quercetin. 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 There you go. James, our producer. Before I go to say it, I need you to say it out loud so that I just follow. It's like a Rosetta Stone Spanish. I need to like hear it and repeat. Hear it and repeat. Okay. So it also has bromelain, and it includes 500 milligrams of the quercetin per capsule and 100 milligrams of bromelain. And the bottle is 60 veggie capsules. The daily dose is just one capsule a day, and it's $19.99 on Amazon right now. But since you're on the live, we give you an additional 20% off. So that will bring your price down to $15.99. And all you have to do is click that little banner below. So let's spend a few minutes talking about these magical ingredients inside of it. So let's do a quick round of true or false. And we have 3 questions about quercetin. So take a guess, type in true or false in the chat, and then Dr. Jacquie, you're going to give us the real answers. So the first one is quercetin is derived from fruits and vegetables. True or false? I'm going to say true. Our stuff is plant-based.
Okay. I'm interested to know. I'm sure other people.
We got a true in the chat right now.
Okay, so yes, you are both correct. True.
All right.
So quercetin is definitely derived from fruits and vegetables, especially citrus fruits and the red onion, believe it or not. Those are the highest, but other things like tea, certain herbs, apples, they all have quercetin too. It's actually a pretty available flavonoid, which is really cool. So yes, true.
True. Okay, so quercetin can reduce swelling. True or false? And I'm going to say we're talking about inflammation, so I'm going to go with true.
You are very intuitive. Yeah, of course.
If it wasn't an inflammation show, I wouldn't know, but yeah.
Yeah, it definitely helps. It helps on a lot of fronts with inflammation. And then if we back inflammation up a step, it's caused by oxidative stress. So it acts as an antioxidant. So it helps with that whole cascade of problems that I talked about, free radicals and toxins kind of starting, and the end being inflammation and disease. Quercetin focuses on the inflammatory part and a couple steps before in the oxidative stress part, neutralizing those free radicals. So it just stops it before the disease process can even start, which is really cool.
Awesome. Okay, next one. This is the third one and final one for a while. So quercetin is the same thing as CoQ10. So that is coenzyme Q10. True or false? And I've heard of it. I've never heard it called anything else. So I'm going to say false.
Correct. Good job.
Oh, that was a 50-50 guess.
Yeah, no, but that's smart. I mean, that was really great deduction. So quercetin is a flavonoid found in foods, like we just, described, fruits and veggies, where CoQ10 is what's called endogenous, meaning our body just naturally makes it. So we can take a supplement of CoQ10 to support and or feed our own CoQ10 pathway, but our body already makes CoQ10. Now, they definitely have a huge overlap in their Venn diagram, though. Right? They both can help reduce blood pressure and protect the cardiovascular system from inflammation. CoQ10 is a little bit more cardioprotective, where quercetin works kind of everywhere, which is really cool. So of course they're going to both prevent heart disease and stuff like that. but they both address oxidative stress, which is really cool. Remember, oxidative stress is where antioxidants neutralize those bad guys, the free radicals. And so they're both very highly active in those ways. But quercetin is available to us to use food as medicine to help our body along with CoQ10, because they actually are what are called synergistic, which a lot of plants and our body systems already are. So we make CoQ10, we eat quercetin, they work together synergistically to make each other work better. I think that's so cool when nature and biology align. And so this is a perfect example. So they're not the same thing, but they do a lot of the same stuff. One is outside of us, one is inside of us. And then they help each other out. So I think those are the important take homes of understanding that. Because I know some people listening are on, they have hypertension. It's super common. Beta blockers. They're interested in things that are cardioprotective and cardiovascular protective. So there's a lot of random information constantly out there. And I'm really glad you asked this question because it helps clarify for people, curious about that.
Okay, sweet. And then thank you everyone who played along. Abby, great job. You got yours correct. All right, so let's do another question. So we often get asked, what's better for inflammation, the quercetin or reverse? Wait, hold on. I'm going to say this one right.
You got it. You got it.
Resveratrol. Did I get it?
So close, but yeah, I'll give it to you. Resveratrol. So we have quercetin, resveratrol, and is that the question? That quercetin, resveratrol.
And there's also turmeric. So it's like 3 different ones.
Yeah. So, and they're all tongue twisters, right? So we have quercetin, resveratrol, and turmeric. So it looks like turmeric, but there's that extra R in there. So
I feel like I just need to be like, I don't speak this language.
It's very difficult, right? It's very difficult. No, it's seriously, when you learn herbs, you have to learn a little bit of Latin because most herbs are based in Latin. So you got to get around that a little bit, but it's, I kind of like it actually. I think
it's okay. It's my American accent getting in the way.
Yeah, that's it. The American accent, let's say that. So yeah, we're not from Latin countries, but okay. So quercetin, resveratrol, and turmeric. Turmeric is a plant, okay? And so I think a better question, if I were to look at constituents, which are like flavonoids or ingredients, I would say curcumin, because curcumin is technically the flavonoid in turmeric, which is the plant, right? So since quercetin is in red onion, for example, we're not going to compare red onion to turmeric because those are plants. But if we pull out the magic ingredient from red onion, which is quercetin, we pull it out of that root turmeric, it's curcumin. And then we pull out of grape skins resveratrol, okay? So they all have their phenols, which means they come from plants. So they're all very, very, very similar, believe it or not. But some have strengths more than others, I should say. Okay, so experimentally, there are limited trials, but every trial comes out the same. The small handful we do have, that polyphenols or those magic ingredients you pull from a plant, they all help with chronic low-grade inflammation. They inhibit adipogenesis, which means like new fat cell growth, which is really huge for weight maintenance. And then they prevent adult fat cells from being stored, which is really, really interesting. And not to mention the antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, all that stuff that we were talking about before, they're all great with, right? So when we're looking at something like a quercetin versus a resveratrol, quercetin is going to be stronger than resveratrol, but they are also synergistic. Remember when we talked about the CoQ10 and quercetin? Well, now resveratrol and quercetin are also synergistic, meaning they make each other work better. They love to work together as a team, right? But quercetin's kind of the big brother to resveratrol. It's a little bit more powerful and stays in the system a little bit longer. So when we're comparing now curcumin to kind of that hierarchy, technically curcumin has a slightly, from turmeric, has a slightly antioxidant effect stronger than quercetin in the blood, but quercetin hangs out in tissues longer. So that's kind of like at a debate, because some people are like, curcumin is more antioxidant because it's higher in the blood longer. And other people are like, quercetin is actually better because it makes its way into the tissue and sticks around a little bit longer. So, it's kind of six in one, half dozen in the other with a lot of them. Curcumin's unique because it's anti-cancer, anti-proliferative for cancer cells. Quercetin is really unique because it helps it has the longest list of what it would help, right? Resveratrol is more cardiovascular stuff. And so, I don't know if there's necessarily a hierarchy because it's more like a divide and conquer, and they are more like teammates. But I think if there was, man, this would be hard. In terms of stronger, I think curcumin initially, but quercetin long term. Sorry, that was a lot of explanation to get to that kind of conclusion. But clinically speaking, based on what I understand and have seen, that's what I would say. That's how I would sum it up.
No, I like that. I mean, in this one, we're going to get into it later, but our uric acid detox has turmeric in it. So maybe a combo.
Yeah.
Huge.
It makes sense too. It makes sense too.
I'm like talking about how adult fat cells don't get to hang out in your body. I was like, let me pop one of these right now. So when you're talking,
no, it really is. It helps significantly especially again when you're taking them in conjunction. So
nice.
All
right.
So you're like, now.
I know you were saying that. I was like, oh my God, I need to take that immediately. So there's been a lot of studies that look into quercetin's numerous benefits and even beyond inflammation. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, of course. So if I think of inflammation, I have to kind of couple that with being an antioxidant and neutralizing free radicals, right? So preventing the damage toxins have on our body. But outside of that whole pathway, right, the inflammatory pathway, neurological diseases, it's neuroprotective for the brain, helping inflammation in the brain. It's shown to have mild to moderate antimicrobial activity against bacteria, viruses, right? So it can potentially help prevent infection. It has slight antihistamine action, which means it can help with allergies, seasonal allergies. We were just kind of, before we came on air, we were all talking about how we have like a little bit of the allergy sniffs going on. So that's really fantastic. And then we did talk about it's cardioprotective or heart protective, but just again, because it's great in tissues, but rides the bloodstream really well, it's going to help anything it comes in contact with. So the whole cardiovascular system, all the pipes, right, that send and receive the blood and reoxygenate nutrients and transport, quercetin is great to protect that entire system, which feeds a lot of the other systems in the body. So, it really does help a lot outside of just being a great anti-inflammatory and antioxidant.
Nice. Well, you sold me on it. I took it while you were talking. And anyone else that wants a bottle, you guys, these are for sale.
Yeah.
10% off. So yes. All right. So anyone who has a question, feel free to throw it in the chat. And then you might be wondering, I don't know if you guys can all see at home, but there's these little charms that are attached to each bottle. These are called the Middle World Whisper. And each one has a positive affirmation or inspiration on it. And when you buy a supplement, you're always going to get one attached. And this one here says, know your worth and add tax. And I love that. That's something I've been working on lately, is like not only knowing my worth, but standing up for my worth. And it's been a really cool lesson in doing that. And I've noticed like huge changes. Like even today this is like total sidebar, but I freelance a lot, and I had a company ask me for something that was extra work. They'd already paid me out. This was a project a long time ago. And I said, well, I can do that for you, but I value my time, so I'm going to have to charge you. And they were like, absolutely, no problem. And they paid me immediately. And I was like, yes, like the old DM would have just been like, okay, and just like done it for free. And the new DM is like, no, I know my worth and I know how much my minute's worth. And so, so you get positive messages like that on it. And then how these came to be is a really cool story. So the founder of Middle World Herbs was on a trip in Bergama, Turkey, and there she went to the Asclepian temple ruins, and there's a tunnel there. This was an ancient healing hospital, and the patients would walk through this tunnel, and above where those lights are, ancient healers would whisper positive mantras and affirmations to them as they walked through. And they just found that there's this connection between emotional healing and physical healing. So that was her aha moment, was that in the supplement world, there's so much focus on the physical, but not enough on the emotional side of healing. So that's where the Whisper came to be. They're handcrafted and they are, I think they're just like a really cool thing that you're going to get in addition to the supplement. And then, of course, with everything going on in our world, we have like these feelings of anger and frustration and stress. And Dr. Jacquie, I know that we've talked about it before, but those can manifest physically in our body. Can you talk a little bit more about that and maybe what it has to do with inflammation?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So you actually brought up a perfect example because I too have struggled with the self-worth piece. I think people like us who are naturally nurturing, like the middle child thing, wanting to keep the peace, um, we are conditioned to overgive and underreceive. And then we feel like sad, resentful, empty, whatever because of it. But breaking that cycle can be really difficult. And so I want to use that as an example. So both of us are kind of working on projects. We both got paid out. They ask us 2 months later, hey, can you go back and make these revisions? And our initial thought is to do it for free. Now that triggers a stress response. We have more work in less time, right? That stress response creates what are called catecholamines in the body. So cortisol is our stress hormone. Adrenaline is like the fear safety hormone. Those in themselves, remember how free radicals can happen in our body just naturally? We don't have to smoke a cigarette or drink a drink to get them. They just happen when stuff breaks down and builds up and all that stuff. Well, those are the two hormone substances being released that cause free radicals over time. So every time we didn't ask for our worth, we were releasing a cloud of catecholamines. It was triggering our nervous system and creating a cascade of free radicals, oxidative stress, inflammation, adding to maybe mood instability, feeling kind of low or, spread too thin or stressed out over giving and under receiving. And so we are literally, by engaging in these belief systems that no longer serve us and not speaking our truths and not being our authentic selves, are physically causing disease states in the body because of a thought process or because of a belief structure. We are inherently linked, mind and body, two sides of the same coin that makes us the whole person that we are. So please be aware that your thoughts can very easily and effortlessly over time, without you even really noticing, if you're not mindful, very easily degrade your body and add to and or even create new disease states and processes. So if there is a thought, a belief, an emotion, something that you are struggling with or ruminating about, I highly suggest to address it with love and compassion and lean into how you can shift your thoughts to shift your body to prevent further illness and help heal yourselves, on all fronts, on every front. So I'm glad that you brought that up as an example because I totally relate to it. I bet a bunch of people listening relate to it. And it makes it real, right? It makes it more personal to understand that my thoughts can cause inflammation. How? And that's how. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
no, it's so true. Gosh, I think of like all the free radicals I probably created in my body from all the stress and like, yeah. And I think as
But
women, I mean, this is, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I was just going to say, just like thoughts can produce negative cascades, positive thoughts can produce positive cascades of release of endorphins, which are healing,
Perfect.
and anti-inflammatory chemicals, and oxytocin, which is a bonding chemical when you think of those you love. So
Mhm.
if we can shift thoughts every time we catch ourselves going kind of those negative self, degrading beliefs, and just think of someone we love or helping someone we love or, anything like that, we can actually rewire that whole pathway. And now not only are we preventing illness by not going down that path, but now we're actually creating healing states, right? Faster cell
Mhm.
division and cell turnover and lower inflammation and more longevity because we're focused on the glass being half full, and we're training the thoughts. Because if we can use imagination to create fake scenarios and anxiety to tear us down, we can use our imagination to think of cool, beautiful outcomes and ideal scenarios to build us up. and not just emotionally or mentally, but also very, very realistically, physically, literally. Anyway, sorry,
Yeah,
I love this stuff clearly, so I could go on a whole tangent.
I love it too. I mean, I wish we like knew this so much more, like that our thoughts can create healing, or like that's so crazy to me that I don't just know that information. Because it makes you happier, but you don't know that what it's doing on the inside too. So that's so
Exactly.
cool. I love that. That's awesome. And thank you, Stephanie, for the follow. And if you guys are watching, hit that follow button. That'd be awesome. And then, of course, always hit the add to cart button too. That'd be awesome. So if you're finding our series helpful, like my little sales pitch, not only should you be following us here, but we're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. And you can follow along there for like a ton of information as well. And it's at Middle World Herbs. So you'll find that there. Oh, and we're a podcast. Nice. Can you find that on Apple iTunes?
That's so cool.
All right. Our podcast is up. So you can find it on Apple iTunes, probably Spotify, all the major ones. So Middle World Herbs. Listen to us as a podcast. So if you miss any episodes and you're driving around, listen to us. All right. So we got a big question here. This says from Doris, what supplement would you recommend to help with brain fog and joint muscle pain? She takes a med to suppress estrogen, and these are two major side effects. Can't do anything that would increase estrogen. Is there anything that you can think of, Dr. Jacquie? So she can't increase her estrogen, but she's looking for help with brain fog and then joint and muscles.
So if the joint pain, which we kind of talked about, I highly recommend watching the joint issue or joint inflammation session from last week, right? Was that last week? Anyway, we talk a lot about joint stuff and how to protect joints and the role estrogen has in joint and bone breakdown. So if you're taking an estrogen suppressor, hormones like estrogen are really important to bone integrity, and bone integrity obviously, right, is a joint. The end of bones make joints where they articulate or connect. The brain fog as well, if you're blocking estrogen can relate to when we have too much or not enough, can add to brain fog and just energy in general, to be honest with you. So if we can't remove the root cause, which in naturopathic medicine is how, my philosophy of healing is to remove the root issue causing the problem. So if we can't go off of the medication because, it's medically necessary, or your doctor and PCP have determined that. So at that point, what we need to do is mitigate the side effects of what they're doing. And so working with things like, herbs and foods in the diet. So all of the anti-inflammatory antioxidants that we're talking about today, the foods that I mentioned today, lots of herbs as well that can cross the blood-brain barrier. We also have a cognitive episode back in the archive if you want to watch that, because we review a lot of herbs that are cognitive herbs, meaning or nootropics. They help the brain work more efficiently. They protect the brain from things like brain fog and dementia type symptoms or memory issues. And so lots of really good juicy stuff in both of those episodes if you want to watch those. But just off the top of my head right now is essential fatty acids to help with the brain and joint stuff, because essential fatty acids are actually protective for both joints and the brain, and help with insulation of the brain. So if you like seafood, I would stick to wild salmon, deep water cold salmon. I would stick to anchovies or sardines if you can. If you don't like seafood, you can get lots of fatty acids from things like eggs. You can get them from plant oils, coconut oil, avocado oil, all of these things. Also, there are tons of plants outside of the fatty acids that are going to offer specific anti-inflammation and antioxidant protection for the brain, as well as the joints. And so I'm also cutting down meat intake, because meat products tend to be high in what are called purines. And purines are things that we just naturally make, but when our body has to clear them out, it makes something called uric acid, which can actually add to joint pain. So if we don't want the uric acid, we can't have purines, and purines are really high in meat and organ meats and animal products. So as well as alcohol. So we want to maybe avoid those foods if we can. So you know, just avoid the stuff that causes those things and increase the good stuff to help protect. And you should be able to mitigate the side effects of the medication. And I really wish you the best. Keep us posted if you try some of the stuff and let me know how it goes.
Nice. Yeah. And Doris, just so you know, if you don't watch back, because I listen to all of them when we're interviewing, and in our carousel, if you kind of scroll, there's the joint support and then there's cognitive support. And you could always grab those two bottles. And if you don't like it, you can return them up to 60 days. So you can literally like take half of it and be like, yeah, I didn't think it did anything, and send it back and you get a full refund. That's like how awesome Middle World Herbs is. And I'm not the owner of the company, but I'm just telling you, like, that's the most amazing return policy I have ever heard. So you definitely try it. If it works for you. I would test it out for sure. And then we got another question in here, which is wondering about garlic supplements. Are they good to take daily? And she said her oldest just got his appendix removed and was reading up on those capsules for health. So what are your thoughts on garlic supplements?
Yeah, I love garlic. I think garlic is fantastic. So it has an active ingredient called allium, or allicin, pardon me, because it's in the allium family, the same family as things like shallots and leeks and onions. Garlic is part of it. It's a bulb, and so they all have kind of magic ingredients that are the same. So the garlic in and of itself does have a stronger cardiovascular protective effect than the rest of them. They all have great antimicrobial, like they fight bacteria and viruses and infection and stuff like that, which is really helpful. And garlic does that as well, but it does have a standout property of helping with high blood pressure, inflammation in the cardiovascular system. And it's because of that special ingredient, allicin, though. So you can definitely take a garlic supplement if you want to, but you can utilize food as medicine, which if you're into something like that, that could be more effective because it is more bioavailable because it's straight from nature. It's not going through a process of being freeze dried and created it, you know, turned into a powder and then encapsulated and then shelved, right? Which is fine if that's convenient for you and way easier. They're really high quality garlic supplements. But if you want straight bioavailability, I highly recommend crushing, dicing, or garlic pressing the garlic, letting it set for about 10 minutes, because that's what activates the allicin, is like the crushing or cutting of the garlic cells. It takes about 10 minutes for it to be at its most active. Then use it in dressings and you know, sauces and sautés, things like that, and then eat it. So yeah, whether it's a supplement or a food, it's amazing. I highly recommend garlic for sure. Plus, it just tastes good.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm partial.
Garlic sounded so good,
Yeah.
but if you roast it, losing some of the potency, right? If you heat.
Yeah, so you want to put it in last. Like, yeah. Okay. A lot of people, so when I look at cooking, I know cooking techniques are for flavor and balance, and I really love cooking and food. Come on, food is medicine is my thing. But I think the order in which sometimes chefs put things together for those layers, which all respect in the world, I can't do that. But you know, sometimes they do lose nutritional properties, and so it tastes good, but it has lower nutrition than if you just switched around the order of a couple things. You could actually increase the nutrition. Like, I never put spinach and garlic in first. It's always last, and then usually like the heat, the residual heat, when I take everything off the burner, kind of wilts the spinach and sweats the garlic, and so it's not raw, but it's not like crunchy and overcooked like you said. So this, you know, the active ingredients are all still there. You know, so just little tips and tricks like that can definitely boost using food as medicine and make eating garlic in the diet much more beneficial. Because like you said, you're absolutely right. Roasting it or long-term exposure to heat is gonna make it's tasty, right? But it gets sweet for a reason after it gets caramelized and roasted, because it loses that little punch of that allicin, that active ingredient, you know, that gives it that kind of almost spiciness, you know, of the raw.
Awesome. No, that's such a good tip. I would never have thought to do that. So I'm so glad you shared that. Okay, I think that's all the questions we have right now, but if anyone else has a question, throw it in there. It doesn't even have to be about inflammation. We have the expert on with us, so she can answer anything. But I have a couple more supplements to share with you guys. We have our berberine family. So we have the
Mhm.
berberine HCl 40, and then we have berberine with bitter melon and banaba leaf. So Dr. Jacquie, I just want to learn a little bit more about the properties of berberine. So what is the connection there with inflammation management?
Okay. So, like you have said and shown and taken, berberine is a little background on it. Yeah, it's a bitter yellow colored chemical. It's an alkaloid. Again, it's one of those magical things we pull from plants. And so what the alkaloid does, or how it works in the body, is it affects different pathways that can cause problems sometimes. So if there's a cell that's mutated, maybe a free radical hurt its DNA, and now it's a tumor cell and it's just copying itself. What something like berberine is going to come do is get in there and insert into that pathway and stop. It's called anti-proliferation. Those cells are proliferating, they're multiplying. Well, what berberine does is come in and stop that. It's an anti-proliferative when it comes to certain cells reproducing, especially damaged cells, which I think is really cool. That there's a special ingredient that seeks out damaged cells replicating and says, "Nuh-uh, not on my watch." And so, that's where it gets some of its anti-cancer properties. It's also highly antibacterial, viral, so it's great for the immune system. It's going to support, keeping bacteria and pathogens at bay. And it also helps with, again, being an antioxidant and being anti-inflammatory. So it's actually very, very protective for certain pathways when it comes to diabetes. So diabetes and insulin stuff, because sugar can cause a lot of inflammation. Sugar's pretty damaging. We kind of all know that, right? Or at least processed sugar. We need some natural sugars every day, but highly processed sugar can mess with our blood sugar levels, which then messes with our insulin release, which then can cause pre and full-blown diabetes, right? And so that all starts with, how do we prevent sugar from causing the inflammation that it does on the body and cause that cascade? Berberine is a great tool to help with something like that. So again, it's just magical ingredients and plants helping. And I think it's really great because of how many pathways it helps with. Just anything that is suffering oxidative stress under a high inflammatory load, inconsistencies with blood sugar and things like that, anything that's proliferating that shouldn't, those bad cells that are multiplying, across the board, it's going to help with all of that stuff. So that's kind of just to sum up berberine and why it's kind of as awesome as it is. So I hope that helps.
Yeah.
And those are,
no.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I forgot too, helps high cholesterol, especially
nice.
LDL.
So
yeah. I was
reviewing
awesome. Labs with someone today who had slightly high LDL, but we were like, okay, but dietarily, you don't intake a lot of high LDL foods, right? Maybe a little bit, but not enough to justify this lab, because overall, they're a healthy person. All the other labs look great. And it was like, okay, well, if we're not intaking a lot of LDL, that means our body's processes that know how to handle LDL and use it and get rid of what it doesn't need isn't working as efficiently. And quercetin is a great thing to incorporate in order to make that system more efficient, right? So if you're like, man, well, I don't eat any fat and my LDL is still high, it may not necessarily be about intake. It could be about what you are intaking not being efficiently broken down and excreted. And so quercetin, and then also fiber. But yeah, that's a really great 1-2 punch for high cholesterol. Sorry, I just think it's super cool and important, so I want to throw that in. Okay, go.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's super cool. So Abby's asking if she wants to do an inflammation flush, would a detox be the best way to start?
So if you're doing an inflammation kind of dump, a detox is a great kind of kickstart. Now, if you're going to detox and go right back to the same lifestyle you had before the detox, it's going to hit you pretty hard and you might actually feel worse than you did before the detox. So I only recommend detoxes to people who really do want to get a better handle on what they're eating and what effects it's having on the body, because the detox is kind of like breaking up with food for a week in a way, or breaking up with your negative habits, right? So it gives you a moment of clarity. It lets you think, it lets you process. inflammatory cells, oxidative stress, all that stuff. And then it's like after you have that period of clarity, you're going to reintroduce some of those foods or some of those substances and really pay close attention to how your body responds. And that is, are these okay to the body? Maybe you can tolerate certain things, and other things are really causing, major issues and adding to a lot of your health issues. And so I only recommend detox. I don't think sometimes I think detox plans, it's like people think it's a quick way to lose some weight or a quick way to lower inflammation just so they can like turn around and retox. I say detox to retox because it's just so common. So if that can actually hurt the body more, too many ups and downs. So I would detox so that you could rebuild a new normal, in terms of your relationship to food in your body. But yes, absolutely. If that's your goal for detox, you can definitely substantially lower inflammation by giving yourself a detox. And it all depends, honestly, what your inflammatory level is going into a detox. Because if you're relatively low, the detox will help significantly no matter what. But, you might not have the same benefits of somebody going in who is really toxic and then going through that process, right? In either case, you're going to have less inflammation, but the results, outcome, weight loss, energy changes, joint changes, all of that is going to be directly affected to where you are going in and then where you are coming out. So, but yeah, I think if you have a lot of inflammation, Abby, and you want to address it, a detox could be a great way to get started for sure.
All right, sweet. Keep the questions coming, guys. So I wanted to show you the berberine capsule just up close because it's got that really pretty intense yellow color. And that is the supplement is unprecedented with 97% purity, which is like, it's not common to find that kind of purity on the market. And it's confirmed by third-party testing. Then we also have our berberine with bitter melon. This one also has that beautiful yellow color, and it has the bitter melon and banaba leaf added to it. Both are made here in the USA, GMP certified, thoroughly tested by third-party labs, and they're veggie capsules, $60 per bottle. The berberine HCl 40 is $18.99, and then the one with bitter melon is $20.99. But on this live, you're going to get that additional 20% off, so that's going to bring down the prices to $16.79 and then $15.99. So that sounds like a really good deal to me. And we often get asked, like, what's the difference between the two? How do I decide which one to take? So Dr. Jacquie, tell us a little bit about how you would pick which one you should take.
So, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, there I am. Okay, good. So bitter melon so we already kind of talked about the benefits of berberine. So if you have high cholesterol, heart stuff, cancer prevention, blood sugar sensitivity, all that stuff, berberine's great for. So bitter melon is unique because bitter melon doesn't just have one or two ingredients, but it has multiple ingredients that actually act like insulin in the body. Very, very similar to insulin. So it has the power, bitter melon, to lower blood sugar the way that insulin does. And so if you are just looking for general health maintenance, cholesterol maintenance, cardiovascular support, the berberine alone is great. If you have diabetes or pre-diabetes and you're trying to prevent type 2 diabetes, or you have type 2 and you're trying to lessen your dependence on something like insulin and having to inject or take insulin, then the berberine with bitter melon is going to be way more effective for your case. So that to me, professionally, is how I would kind of decide one versus the other.
Okay, awesome. And then now let's jump into another round of true or false. So we're going to get you with a few questions and you guys can all answer as well. These are about berberine. So the first one is, berberine is the name of a shrub which grows in North America. True or false? Okay, I know a bit about berberine. I do know it's a shrub, but does it grow in North America? That I don't know. What do you guys think? Anyone putting in answers? We got false. I'll go with you with that. False.
Yeah, actually, berberine is not the name of a plant because berberine's not a plant. Berberine's a chemical. So it's a phytochemical. It's a plant chemical found in a lot of different plants, not just one shrub. So barberry in Europe is one of the main sources, but also golden seal, which is in the echinacea family of plants, Oregon grape, tree turmeric, which is not the rhizome, but the tree version. They all have berberine. So it actually is not a shrub, but it does come from a plant.
Okay, interesting. And can you find those plants in North America or mostly just Europe?
I mean, you can find Oregon grape, you can find golden seal in different parts of America, yeah, for sure. Because Asteraceae, or like the echinacea and golden seal family, definitely all over North America.
Okay, awesome. So berberine can switch on the metabolic master switch, which triggers you to burn more fat. Is that true or false? So is it going to like click on your metabolism? I think it helps with metabolism, so maybe true.
That's a really, really, really good deduction. I said it can be true. Yes, because not
Yeah.
everybody's, biodiversity is real. The way certain genes respond to certain substances we take or make are going to be very different, right? So I always think of like results not guaranteed.
Yes.
But studies are very promising. So we have, I wouldn't say necessarily a master switch, because metabolism is so multidimensional, right? There's hormones involved, there's enzymes involved, there's glands, there's, just your height, your weight, your size, genetics, all of these different things are leading into something like metabolism. So it's hard to say the master switch, but if there were a master switch, it would be a certain kinase a certain enzyme the body produces, AMPK. It's the regulator of how our cells use energy. And so when we don't eat nutrition, but we eat calories, our AMPK is like, hey guys, I need energy. What's going on? I don't have any energy. And so it says, hey, I'm hungry, even though you may have eaten an hour ago, but maybe what you ate was not nutrient dense, but calorie dense. So you burn through the sugar, store it as fat, but your body's still deprived of nutrition. So it's like, hey, keep eating. We need more nutrients. Keep eating. We didn't get the nutrition. And so we tend to overeat, right? So what is cool about berberine with that master switch, the AMPK, is it significantly increased activation. So it lowered high glucose, right? So when we enhance AMPK activation, that's what's protecting from high glucose. Because if AMP is high, it's saying, hey, we got the nutrition, we got the blood sugar, we got all the stuff, we got the energy, we're good. So then we're like, oh, I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat. So our blood sugar lowers and stabilizes, right? So taking berberine is going to do that. Where if AMPK, is telling us to eat because we need more sugar, we need more nutrition, more energy, then we're going to overeat, gain weight, diabetes, and that whole pathway, right? But something like berberine is going to increase the activation and tell us, hey, we're good. Don't overeat. Let's deal with the blood sugar we have now and keep you normalized. And so that helps metabolism significantly, because we're more efficiently using the calories we are eating, right? And we're having a stronger response to AMPK being released and utilized, which is what we want for something like weight maintenance,
Yeah, definitely. I love that. All right. And if anyone else has questions, throw them in the chat for us. Another amazing thing about these supplements, so not only do you get the whisper, but every time you guys are buying, a tree is being planted, because we've teamed up with One Tree Planted to help join on the global reforestation mission. So every single time a purchase is made, a tree is being planted. So you're not only helping your body, but you're also helping our world. So I always think that's super cool too. Another fun perk of it. And the labels are made with recycled paper. So very sustainable as well. Well, we have one incredible, I know, isn't it so awesome? I'm like, all the little details. This. There's one more supplement to share. This is our uric acid with tart, cherry, and pomegranate. And it's a detox. We'll talk, it has a whole bunch of really great herbs in it. It has chonka pedra, celery seed extract, green coffee extract, milk thistle, cranberry. amla, yucca extract, devil's claw, and turmeric. And it's 60 veggie capsules. The dosage is 2 capsules daily, and it's $15.99. But take that bonus 20% off during this live. You are getting this for $12.97. And it's our #1 selling item. So take advantage of that. See why it's the #1 selling item. So Dr. Jacquie, what is the connection between uric acid and then inflammation management?
Okay. So I think we had an audience question before where I kind of mentioned its role in joint pain, but essentially we eat different foods like meat, organ meats, certain shellfish, actually, alcohol in this case. Those are the types of foods that introduce purines into the body. And when we break down purines, we have natural pathways in place to be able to do that. Cool. We're going to make some uric acid. And then our kidneys are going to get rid of the uric acid. And that's kind of the natural way of things. But what can happen in some people, if we're aging, if we have kidney issues, if we don't drink enough water, if we have cardiovascular disease, hypertension, which is high blood pressure, all that stuff can affect how the kidneys clear uric acid, right? Or if we're just eating a lot of foods that have a lot of purines, we're going to make a lot of uric acid, and our kidneys can't filter it fast enough. So either we have diets high in stuff that cause the uric acid, or our kidneys have issues and can't clear the uric acid fast enough. But in either case, what's happening is our body's left high in uric acid. Well, what the heck does that mean? Why do I care? Well, uric acid migrates into joints and causes very jagged crystals. It's almost like having a bunch of steak knives, or Chinese throwing stars embedded in your joint. So every time you move the joint, those crystals are going to act like shards to the tissue and cause microabrasions and tightness and inflammation and fluid retention and pain. And we know it as gout, right? So if it hasn't fully caused gout in you yet, but you do have joint pain or arthritis type pains, it could be a buildup of uric acid. So uric acid is directly causing inflammation in joints when our body can't clear it fast enough or when we're eating too much.
Okay.
Too much,
Yes.
or foods containing purines. Sorry, not eating too much, period. Eating too many purines. I should have finished the thought. Okay.
No worries. I love that. And then Doris, we got to give her a shout out. She had 4 trees planted today because she got 4 different supplements.
Woo!
So,
Doris.
yay. Thanks for helping our planet, but also helping yourself too. So I'm excited. Let us know. Put down in, once you've used them a while, do an Amazon review and just say how you're liking them, because that can help us.
Yes, I would actually love to clinically, like the scientific nerd in me would love to know how you're feeling, Doris, after you take it for a couple of months.
All right. So there's your homework assignment, Doris. Dr. Jacquie. And I want to know too. Okay, so let's play a round of herbal speed dating. So this is where I'm going to say the name of the herb, and it's going to be something in the uric acid formula. And then Dr. Jacquie, you just say the first 3 words that immediately come to your mind whenever you hear this herb. Okay. First one is turmeric. Turmeric.
Root, antioxidant, anti-cancer.
Okay. Do we want to have explanations, or should we just go speed through them all?
It's up to you, but it is a root or a rhizome. I just think of it naturally in its natural form. And then the actions of what it does, those 2 things just really stand out. Every time I think about turmeric or curcumin, that's really what I think.
Okay, perfect. I love that. I love that. If you live long enough, you'll buy some supplements in the future. That's what Freddie says. All right. Well, Freddie, I hope you live long enough for sure. Tart cherry. Go for it.
Delicious gout killer.
Oh, there you go.
Because I love tart cherry, but we're taught, it's kind of like, well, we'll get to cranberry. I know. I think that's on the list. I tried not to do this ahead of time, even though, I get a general idea of what the questions will be, because I really wanted it to be like on the spot. But I personally love tart cherry, love the flavor, love the juice, love it when it's cherry season. And it's so high in vitamin C, which helps with uric acid, that it helps with gout. So that's a really big connection in almost all the nutrition classes in medical school. You know, study after study, it was great. The connection was super helpful there.
Awesome. All right, pomegranate.
Hard to eat.
Yes,
No.
right?
Because it's so hard to get those little seeds out, but man, are they delicious.
Oh, it is.
They're like gold.
It's a lot of work.
I would have to say, red heart antioxidant. Honestly,
Nice.
it's like
Yeah, that's
very,
good.
very red. Yeah, it's very rich in red. It's not like the maroony red of like a tart cherry or a cranberry. It's very brilliant, rich red, which to me just leads to heart health. Like there's a strong connection there. So cardiovascular, red heart antioxidant. There you go.
Perfect. All right, celery seeds.
It's not 3 words or less, but makes you pee, helps high blood pressure. That's just what I think of because you know, you have short lists, you know, you have associations, especially for me when I'm formulating tinctures or herbal, you know, concoctions for patients or clients or myself. It's like, you know, you have kind of the go-tos or the anchors of what the herb is and what it does. And so, yeah, that's what these are my short, you know, in the storage unit.
So good. All right, green coffee.
Clean energy, blood vessel health. Those are 5, but yeah.
That's 3 to 5 words that come to mind. All right, milk thistle.
Lover of the liver.
Ooh,
Lover of the liver. It is the liver. It's the liver herb. It does everything for hepatocytes. That is a match made in heaven. If there was any puzzle piece of a plant and an organ, those are the 2. Lover of the liver.
Awesome. Lover of the liver, milk thistle. All right, cranberry.
Oh, UTI. I mean, those are 3 words, right? Urinary tract infection.
Yeah.
Because it helps clear bacteria from the urethra, kidney support, bladder support, high in vitamin C. So it's going to help all of those organs, right? The urinary system. It's just great for UTI too, preventatively if you have chronic UTI.
All right, and yucca extract.
Itis killer. It's only 2 words, but itis, the end of any word that has itis means inflammation. And yucca's really, or yucca, you know, depending on, it's tomato, for that pronunciation. It just helps with colitis, right? So inflammation of the GI, endocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart muscle. It's an itis killer. It helps with lots of different forms of inflammation or itises around the body.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, we have 1 more word. Well, it's 2 words actually. Devil's claw.
Ooh, pain reliever and anti-plaque. It's great to prevent atherosclerosis or hardening of the arteries or plaque formation, like all that. It's great for that, and it's huge for a pain reliever. Nature's pain reliever for sure.
Awesome. Well, I love that. That was so fun.
Yeah.
You've now done dating with herbs. Super cool. And those are all here. So even if you don't have like gout or uric, I mean, I feel like those will benefit everybody, all those ingredients, right?
They really will.
There's like no reason.
They really will.
That's awesome. Okay, well, time's almost up, but I know people will jump on and jump off. So if you're just now joining us, our theme has been inflammation management. We've been highlighting these amazing supplements. So we have our immune support. This one has quercetin, and that's an antioxidant powerhouse. I know you're laughing because I said it wrong.
I genuinely love it though. Like I like fall in love with you a little bit more each time you say it wrong. It's just so, I don't know. It really is endearing.
I just want to say it right.
When I
know the stupid word teleprompter, and I'm like, no. I'm like, can I just do this whole script without that word? It has this stuff in it. I'm not so it has, and I know how to say it because we practiced it. Quercetin. Quercetin. Yeah, but I want to say
Quercetin.
it on a weird emphasis. James, where were you on that one?
I'm like
If
tearing
I
up a
say
little, Dina.
if I start saying the word immune support, James is our producer. He's gonna start immediately just saying it on repeat until I say it. Okay, it's probably not funny for you watching because you don't hear what we hear. But anywho, so we have that one, and then we have our berberines. Those ones are really good supplements if you're dealing with toxic overloads, and especially if you have a lot of fried foods or sweet foods in your diet. And then we just round it out with our uric acid detox, which can help with like joint inflammation and gout and everything else in there. Quercetin. See that? Yeah, maybe I just need to see it written, James. That's a good way to do it. Because for whatever reason, I started thinking of a corset, and then it really messes me up. So, quercetin. All right, we'll get there. There's probably like a funny TikTok I can do on like the crazy way. I should just take clips of all the different ways I've said it and like clip it together. Someone would find it. At your naturopathic convention, you can play it. Like, this is how people don't understand.
You're so great. Oh, that'd be so
man.
good.
All right, so before we wrap up, if you could just leave like everyone with the top 3 most important things for inflammation management, what would those takeaways be?
Avoid the stuff that causes it, add stuff that resolves it, and it's totally preventable. You know,
Yeah,
if you're
that's
suffering
good.
from something, yeah, go ahead.
What do you think causes it the most? Like, if there's like 1 or 2 things we should all avoid, I know it's not an all or nothing because we're all so different, but is there anything that like causes inflammation more than others?
Yeah, I would say high stress. The catecholamine thinking part, I think, is just as important, if not slightly more, than food. Because we're not constantly drinking alcohol, constantly smoking cigarettes, constantly eating processed foods. We do that a few times throughout the day, but our thoughts are constant. I mean, all the time. We don't have breakfast, lunch, dinner thoughts. We have 24-hour, 7 days a week thoughts, right? 24-hour day, 7 days a week thoughts. So I would start there, to be honest with you. Even if you didn't change your diet at all, and you just worked on shifting your mindset and your attitude from half empty to half full, and you caught yourself in that mindful piece of awareness, wow, why am I beating myself up? Why didn't I say my truth? And you could shift it and positively reframe. That's going to significantly improve how your nervous system and your cardiovascular system work. So sleep's better, regeneration is better. And then the second piece, for what causes it, toxins. So people know what toxins are. I mean, there's not one that causes it the most. I guess if I had to choose, I'd say cigarette smoke or air pollution. But, you know, UVA pollution from the sun, from, you know, going to tanning beds, alcohol, high sugar, high processed meat, you know, all of this stuff, we kind of know what's toxic. Pesticides, herbicides, perfumes, body lotions, all the stuff we put on our body and around us in our house, the stuff we think makes stuff smell good and makes us smell good, actually is really toxic for our body, believe it or not, and can cause a lot of free radicals. Yeah, and so you want to make sure things are paraben free, phthalate free, BPA free, right? Because those are known to trigger, to you know, mess with how hormones work and increase free radical production. So, you know, just as clean as possible, moderation. Have the wine, have, you know, that cigarette, or that is your favorite perfume or lotion or whatever. But just make sure, again, that brings me to my second point, because that's avoid the bad stuff, right? The stuff that causes it. My second point, add more stuff that resolves it or combats it. So that's cool. Do the other stuff in moderation. I'm not, you know, I'm not a fun Nazi, because a lot of people associate fun to those things, right? And having a good time and socializing or events or food or, you know, whatever, but just do stuff to address it if you can, like a day or two before you know that stuff's going to go down, or a day or two after. Just be more aware and add, you know, good stuff. Watch your thoughts, eat high antioxidants, you know, eat the rainbow, drink lots of water, get lots of rest, and, you know, it'll all come out in the wash. But as long as either we're like, as we increase bad, we increase good to get it back down, or we just keep bad low and increase good to get us up and well and vital and even better.
Yeah.
Those are great ways to bring me to point 3, which is prevention. That's all preventable. So
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So good. I love that. Well, let's see. You guys, if you have last minute questions, throw them in the chat. Otherwise, go ahead and hit the follow button so you guys can stay connected with us here on Amazon Live. We're also at Middle World Herbs on social media. And if you scroll up, James put a comment in the chat about the podcast we now have. So you can always listen on the podcast and follow there too. We go live every Friday at 4 p.m. and it's Pacific Standard Time. We have Dr. Jacquie with her insightful stories. She has all the answers to all our questions. And next week, we're talking about immune health. We're going to deep dive into the question, which is, what do we do when our immune system's off balance? And maybe we can incorporate some allergy talk into that, because that has to do with immune, right? So, yeah, we were just talking about
I personally would love at least 1 or 2 questions about allergies, because it's just so common. Almost everyone I know right now is like, what do I do about allergies? How do I help? What do I do? So I think it would be super beneficial. Yeah, if we could wedge 1 or 2 in there with me, that'd be fun.
Benefit. Yeah, no, it'd be super fun. Yeah, I think we should do that for sure. I think that's like, we're all dealing with it, no matter where you are pretty much in it coming from. So, all right. Well, big thank you, Dr. Jacquie. You're amazing. I loved everything we learned today, and definitely a lot of. So go ahead, if you have any last minute things you want to say goodbye, you can do that, and then we'll round out our show.
I just really always love how when you share your stuff, it's super relatable, I think, to not only everybody listening, but really does help me give like a practical example. So thank you for sharing yourself and your story, and definitely sending you good vibes to keep speaking your truth and asking for your worth, because yes, you are worth it. We all are. Also to people who asked questions today, it was super fun. I love, the random question here and there, keeps me on my toes, and hopefully it was helpful. So keep us posted. To those of you who are going to apply what I said, or endorse for, trying the supplements, keep me posted. And just, thanks, Abby. If you have questions about the detox, you know how to contact me. And just thank you to everyone who watches the playback and takes the time to learn with us. I appreciate you. I appreciate Eva and her passion and love for her company, and how thoughtful she is with every single step of the way, planting a tree, recycled paper, the whispers, the high quality. I just really feel very lucky to be aligned with this vibe. So thank you to everyone, and I hope everyone has a really great night and a happy Easter weekend.
Yes, happy Easter weekend. And if you are Jewish, happy Passover. It's like a big weekend.
Thank you.
I was going to ask you in a couple minutes, are you doing anything fun this weekend? Going to celebrate?
Am. I have a lot of plans. I have a 6-year-old niece who is my favorite person in the whole universe. So we have gathered some cool ideas to do natural egg dyeing this year.
Nice.
We're going to use stuff around the house, and beet juice and turmeric juice. So turmeric, when you juice it, makes things yellowy orange, and beets make things kind of purpley pink. So that's really fun. Yeah, we're gonna do that on Saturday.
Yeah,
I know. How do you dye your eggs, or do you guys do eggs?
Well, so yes, and actually it's funny. So in the past I've done it with beet. We had a beet kombucha for a while that we distributed. And so I did a whole video on how you could dye Easter eggs using that kombucha. And it was the most beautiful pink colored eggs ever.
Cool.
And then so I am all about the natural way. However, that said, my husband went to the dollar store and bought just a little dye cup things. So we have that sitting downstairs right now. But we don't even have eggs in our house.
Close to my heart. That is how I did it growing up. Yeah. So, hey, however it gets done, it's a fun tradition.
I love your idea. I love that idea of the natural way of dyeing it. And so what else are you guys? So you're going to dye eggs. What else?
So, well, my niece has a very busy social calendar, as her mom would say. My sister, she's so cute. So she's got an Easter egg hunt on Saturday, then we're dyeing eggs Saturday afternoon, then we're prepping for Easter dinner Saturday night, and then people are coming over for Easter and an egg hunt, and just friend and family time all day on Sunday.
Nice. Yeah, no, my kids have a very social calendar too. My kids have already done like 2 different Easter egg hunts at each of their daycare. Like, it's crazy. They've had more Easter egg and it's not even the weekend yet. It's so awesome. So we're multicultural. So we're hosting Passover at my house tomorrow night. I've done zero prep, like nothing. No big deal. Do it tomorrow morning. We have like our cousins, and there's going to be a bunch of little kids. So it should be a lot of fun. And my mom does like the Seder part of it. So I don't need to worry about that. Just kind of like some main dishes and basically clean up our house. And then there is an Easter egg hunt we could go to Saturday morning. I just don't know about timing. And then Sunday we're going to go to church, and there's like a whole Easter egg thing. There's like a
whole extravaganza. Yeah.
Extravaganza. And
get
then
it? Extravaganza.
I love it. Yes. I know. I said to my girls this morning as I dropped them off at daycare, I said, make sure you tell everyone Happy Easter. And I was like, they probably don't even know what to say. Oh
man, how many Easter punts can you fit in an episode?
Yeah. Funny. And then we go do family stuff in the afternoon. We're doing like an adult Easter egg hunt, a kid Easter egg hunt, Easter dinner. So it's a big weekend for us too. So
it sounds big. It sounds fun. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So all the candy and all the food and all the wine and all the stuff from the weekend and all the fun and the sun. Make sure you take your antioxidants on Monday.
Monday? Okay. I have Cadbury.
I mean, take them all weekend if you want. Take them all weekend if you want, but definitely Monday after that kind of weekend. It sounds like the most fun, though. I mean, the adult Easter egg hunt, do you mind if I kind of inquire, like, what differentiates? Is it just age, or are the eggs different, or what makes an adult?
Yeah, we've done it different ways in the past. Like, we used to do it where, like, the kids would have their own hunt, and then the adults would hide it kind of for each other. And when I first married my husband, like, they would talk about the Easter egg hunts for adults that they used to do, and they would hide the eggs like on the roof, like places that it was like they would have to like get ladders.
Yeah.
The adults,
I get it.
A whole bunch of guys would just go crazy with it. And now I think it's mellowed out. But that said, no, there's always like some sort of crazy creative place.
I love that.
And they were like never got found for like a year. Like, it was so funny. So we'll see how.
That's kind of nice, though. That's really kind of nice. Because it is. It's like a little, postseason Easter egg 6 months later when you're in, August or September. You're like, oh, cool. An Easter egg.
Like,
what a treat.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
That'll be super fun. That's what it is. I'll keep you posted next week on how it all
goes.
Yeah,
I would love to know how it all goes. Yeah, we'll catch up next week.
Yeah.
We'll have so much fun. That's a lot.
I know.
You got it, though. You got
it. Dana said use onion skins for orange eggs. So there's another tip for you.
Oh, yeah. So the Vidalias, the yellow onions, the skin, that's right. Thank you. That's for like a really beautiful pale kind of canary yellow. If I'm not mistaken, that's how they kind of come out. Now we have a third one. I think if I did blue, I can't remember there is a fourth one though. I can't remember if it's cabbage. I think it might be cabbage or purple.
Oh, cabbage. Yeah, that'd be good. Beets reset. What about like spirulina, like powder? Would that work for like a green blue?
I want to try that.
I don't know if try it.
It's very green. It's very green, but whether or not it like adheres to calcium, like the shell of the egg,
that I don't know. You have to and then maca maybe for like a brown. Yeah, red wine could do. I don't know if we want the wine. I guess if you're not eating the outside, you could use wine. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could do anything. Hey, try it all. I love so that sounds super. Yeah, I think we all have fun weekends. Hopefully everyone watching has some fun stuff planned as well. And if you enjoy spring, because it's springtime, and
enjoy the weekend.
Yes.
Have a great time. Join us next week.
Always at 4 p.m. for excitement, for laughter, for me not being able to say any of these ingredients.
Oh, but that's what makes
Maybe
the
like
show so fun. But that's part of
does.
what makes it so fun and engaging. I love it.
Have like a Post-it up here by my camera that just has the like phonetic spelling, and then that way
Mhm.
that'd be way too smart, but that would be like what I should do. So anyways, all right, well, I'm off to Costco to go buy a ton of stuff for our
Passover stuff, Easter stuff. Woo!
We need to go probably a few different grocery stores, but we need to do a
Yeah.
big Costco run. So it's going to be, and funny story before we leave, I don't have a Costco membership. My husband won't allow me to have one because he says I buy too much stuff we don't need. So I'm only allowed to go when he goes. So I have to like wait for him to be done with the work. I was like, can you meet me at Costco? I need to go to Costco. So
Oh my God, that's so funny. Can we please go to Costco, please?
I know it's true. I don't go ever because I don't have a freaking membership, but it's fine. I actually kind of understand his point because I am like the queen
It's
of
like
vanilla.
protecting you from yourself, right?
Yeah,
That's like sometimes me in Target. I have Target-itis.
Target,
I'm sure other people do.
Oh gosh,
So yeah, I just don't go as a rule. It's just don't
I know.
go.
I go to Target and like no matter what, my bill was $75, and I was like, what did I buy? Like no matter what, and I would go in my 20s. I would go so much that like one weekend I didn't go, and the checker was like, "Where were you last weekend?"
Were you sick? Are you okay?
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I really have an addiction to Target.
Yeah. I was like, if the people of the store you go to know you by name, you might go too much.
You might go a lot. Now I don't even like that.
A lot. I like a lot better than too much, because who's to say what's too much? Is there such thing as too much? It's all relative.
No, it's all relative. All right. So Dana gave us a full
have fun.
list.
Have a great weekend.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
We have a full list for you. So Dana said purple dye, add 1 pint of blueberries smashed. We didn't think about blueberries. 2 cups of water. Bring it to a boil, simmer for 10 minutes, turn off water, allow it to cool, and then the pink dye, the beets, and then you might be throwing another one. So blueberries and beets. I love that. Yeah, maybe we should just
turmeric and cabbage. I'm gonna try them all.
Yeah.
So we got
you should
yellow, orange, pink, purple, blue, and maybe I'll
Is it
try
the
that
blue
spirulina thing for you.
Cabbage might make it blue. So.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
So with cabbage, what I think is cool about cabbage, and I'm gonna see if I can do this with Ava, a little science, is you dye it, and I think it's almost like, if I'm not mistaken, it's almost like a bluish purple, and then you can dip like a Q-tip in lemon juice or vinegar, and I think it's actually lemon juice. It has to be the citric acid, I believe. I could be wrong. And then you draw on where the cabbage juice was, and wherever the lemon juice hits, makes it turn pink because of the acidification. Cool. Yeah, because it's basic at blue and then turns kind of pinky, more like vibrant magenta pink with the acid application. So hopefully we could do like a whole art science-y combo thing.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Okay, so then there's the turmeric for gold dye, and then yellow is turmeric carrots, if you want to combo those two.
Cool. So, well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate you throwing that in the chat before we go. I really do. Thank you.
I love it. Well, make sure you post pictures of your beautiful eggs and all your stuff so we can talk about your science. That'd be a fun. If we had thought about it, we should do a live where we literally like had our scientific egg. Like we each had to make 5 different colored ones. That would have been cool. But
just
next year.
Yeah. Oh, that would be fun.
Awesome. I love that. All right, guys. Well, have a fabulous weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Hear the whispers from within, balance to restore, ailings to relieve. Feel the nature keeping us, nature healing us, flowers, leaves, and roots within. Hear the mind calming you, soothing you, love and kindness inside out. Let the herbs from Middle World heal. Welcome wellness, welcome wellness. It's revealed herbs, Middle World herb.